Welcome everyone to our first UFC 309 content of the week. Buzzing for this one. We've got Jay's Fight Talk Liam Tully, obviously alongside myself. We're starting big. We're starting at the top, the Big Apple, Madison Square Garden, the annual November show for UFC. Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic. Two names we haven't heard much of for a while. I'll actually tell you how long. Over 18 months for Jon Jones since he beat Cyril Gane to become heavyweight world champion. Stipe Miocic last fought in March of 2021 when he was laid out by Francis Ngannou. It's been on, it's been off, it's been on, it's been off again, twice over, but we're here now. I believe on Saturday night we're going to see Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic. The old gloves are back even for this one, I've seen. The new gloves that haven't been producing any knockouts have been put in the bin for this event, so that's possibly some good news. But Jay, Johnny Bones is your guy. We know he's your man. Excited to see him back in the cage?
Yeah, I'm still not sure it's going to happen, if I'm honest. We haven't heard much out of Stipe, have we, other than recorded?
I saw him earlier.
Seen him around. He was with Thomas. He was walking.
Yeah, Aspinall nearly bumped into him. Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, well, I've not seen any content whatsoever on any of it. I don't watch the embeddeds, or I'll watch them maybe on Friday. So I'm trying to steer clear of it. Yeah, Jones is my guy. As much as he hate drug cheats, I'm sort of giving him a pass over the picogram, and I'm gonna not believe the hiding under the cage stories and running away from the drug testers because he's my guy. But yeah, I'm really excited. I'm a little bit. I don't know, because a lot of the talk's been, a lot of people are sort of dismissing Stipe and talking about Aspinall and how deserving Aspinall is. And, I'm a Brit and I love Tom Aspinall. But it's becoming about Aspinall and Jon Jones. And Stipe is kind of getting lost in that. But as I just said, I've not watched any of the recent stuff. So, that might not be the narrative, but certainly the narrative I've seen up to press has been a lot about Tom Aspinall. But this is a fantastic fight. I mean, Stipe has been talked about as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, really, in terms of UFC, up until the second Francis fight. And he had a bit of a back and forth with Dana at one point, so he's never been the favourite of UFC fighters, and I think they were pretty happy for him to lose his title, and they've sort of had to give him this shot, really, haven't they? They didn't. I don't think they really wanted to, and I think they'd have been happy for Stipe to never fight again. He's not necessarily.
He's 42 years old. He hasn't fought in over 3.5 years.
Massive name without a belt, really. The belt helped Stipe, didn't it? He's always got his hardcore fan base, but in terms of a crossover and a big name like Jon Jones is, and to go head to head with the UFC, he wasn't really in a powerful enough position. So it sort of tainted the last few years of his career, and I think certainly some of the newer fans don't even realise how good he is. And if Jon Jones ain't on it, Stipe will dump him on his head or knock him out if he catches him. Do you remember him catching Verdum going backwards?
Yeah, just rushing him, running
going backwards. I'm not saying Jones is not that erratic, really. Everything Jon does is he's thought about and he's preempted, really, Jones. He likes to make people do stuff, doesn't he? It's an intriguing fight for me. I think it's a good, as old as Stipe is, Jones is not a spring chicken. And he's carrying a lot of weight, a lot of extra weight. I know he's grown into it, but he's still got a belly on him. Jones has never had a belly, has he? He's always been washboard. So I'm interested to see what he looks like on the scales. I'm still a bit apprehensive when he fights at heavyweight. We've only seen him against, Gane, and I were on edge, even though Jones made it look pretty easy. I want to see what he takes a shot. He hasn't really took a shot, has he, at heavyweight yet.
He'll take one, I think, against Stipe on Saturday. I think Stipe will catch him.
Stipe is a Golden Gloves boxer.
Yeah, Stipe's
hands, man, are good. Jones is not that good, right? I say that, but he's not a boxer, is he? He's not.
His kicks are deceptive.
He throws punches from weird angles. His arms are right. He'll have them out wide, with his hands like that. But he'll strike, and he does a lot of eye pokes, don't he? And teep kicks, and it's so unorthodox, but he's so good at what he does, man. I mean, to make ragdoll DC like he did in the second one is, and he was the first and only man to get DC down, unless Stipe knocked him down, didn't he? Flatlined him.
Yeah.
But what he did, what he's done to people, but again, he's been inactive really. Stipe more so recently. It's an intriguing fight for me. It's not
Jones is an overwhelming favourite. Like, it's not
so
close.
he should be. I mean, so he should be. I know I've just sold Stipe, but
Jones has only fought once in 5 years or something himself.
But Stipe himself's only fought. It's recency bias, isn't it? Jones went up to a new division, beat the number one contender, easy as well. It looked like Cyril had bet on himself in first round. It was that easy. Do you know what I mean? The kind of choke he had him in, and I'd have tapped as soon as the bell went. Let alone as soon as Jones got on his hands and knees, I'd go, yeah, done. That's me out.
Yeah, that's enough.
Yeah, I'll take half my paycheck, no problem. Yeah, so he should be the favourite, I believe. But for that, it doesn't tell the whole story of the fight for me. That the odds being so great in Jon Jones' favour, because I could see a scenario where we're talking on Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, when Jon Jones has ended up on his flat on his face, or crammed up against the ropes, getting absolutely smashed. Because if Stipe catches him, don't matter who they are, they'll go to sleep.
Yeah,
he's got that kind of punch power and that kind of accuracy. Whether he can do that to Jon Jones is a totally different thing, and I don't think he can. But what do you think, Liam?
I'm gonna be honest, mate. I am not. I'm not excited really by this matchup at all, and I think it does come down to how inactive both men have been. We've not seen Stipe, like we said, since the very beginning of 2021. We've not seen Jones since last March. Okay, this time he's been injured and he's had surgery. He's not had anything else going on there. We know he's been injured, but it's just, I'm finding it hard to get excited for it. Don't get me wrong. When they're facing off against each other ready to go, it's a different story. But right now it's kind of like, right, okay, so you want to talk about Jon Jones and his signature wins. Oh, we're going back 2017, 2018. We're going back that far. You want to talk about Stipe's good nights against DC and everything else. It's like, oh, okay, it's just the amount of years it's been between their signature wins, if that makes sense. But mate, I agree with you. I can envisage a scenario where Stipe is able to land on Jon and Jon ends up flat on his face. But then there's also a part of me going, well, Jon's movement is so unorthodox. It's not a natural. You can't get a sparring partner in for Jon Jones because there is no one like Jon Jones. That is the reality of it. So, he may be able to get into range, but is he then going to be able to land? Just because he can stand in front of Jon doesn't mean he's not going to shoot for a takedown. Doesn't mean he's not going to duck out of the way and flip over you and all that crazy stuff that prime Jon Jones could do. But
I could also see a scenario where Jon comes out, teep kicks him and smashes his leg without him throwing a punch, a flying knee, or Jones is that unorthodox.
Mate, there's a lot of ways this fight can be won. Jon Jones is an overwhelming favourite, and that is recency bias. And I would also make the argument, if this fight was happening when Stipe was heavyweight champion and Jon wasn't banned and he moved up then from light heavyweight.
Different then.
It's different then, but you've got to go, like you say, Stipe's 42, and if he was 42 inactive, it's a different story. He's 42 and he's not fought since 2021, where he was flatlines. Let's have it right. He was flatlines by Francis Ngannou. Absolutely phenomenal finish to that fight. Yeah, it's just difficult to get excited for it, which is a shame because it's UFC in New York and you should be excited. It's their big one of the year that they do at this time of year, but feel a bit flat, mate. But again,
I get what you mean. I think
it's not the matchup. Let's address the elephant in the room. It should be Tom Aspinall in there on Saturday night. That's the truth. It's not just because we're Brits. Tom Aspinall's defended the interim world championship. What interim champions ever defended their interim championship?
I get that, right? And and that I agree. But this fight was pretty much negotiated, whether it was signed and sealed. This fight always was meant to happen anyway.
Last year,
this fight was always meant to happen before Tom Aspinall had even fought. Was it Pavlovich that he beat?
Yeah. So this fight was meant to happen
So
last
this fight
year
was meant to happen before. So I believe they're just getting it out of the way. They're sick to death of Stipe hanging around. I think it might be the last fight on his deal or very close. Put it this way, he won't fight for the UFC again, I don't believe. Even if he wins, I think he'll jack. I think he's got enough money.
There's no chance he's fighting
I don't think he likes dealing with them. I don't think he likes fighting. I think he enjoys being the firefighter, the family guy. You know, I think he's.
Stipe wins. Tom Aspinall's the heavyweight champion of the world because he'll retire and vacate.
I think so. But what I mean is, so I think that's more to do with it. Getting this fight done and dusted, get it out the way, and it's done. And at the side of building, Tom Aspinall is 5 times, maybe 10 times bigger the brand that he was if they'd have made this fight 6 months ago than what it is when it happens in another 6 months. It's the next fight. It has to be the next fight.
Can I just give you an exclusive from the media day? Jon Jones has just came out and said if the UFC doesn't book the Alex Pereira fight next, he'll retire. The quote is, "I feel like Tom Aspinall's been such an asshole, I don't even want to give him the opportunity." So there you go.
Fair dues then.
Yeah.
Make the Pereira fight. I'd rather see it. I love Tom and I don't want to see him and Jones fight. I'd rather Jones beat Pereira and retire and Tom Aspinall becomes the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Because I love them both. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'd rather see him not fight. I know why they should fight. I'd rather see him not. So for me, perfect. Do it, Dana. Book it.
We've just touched on it here, but the other elephant to address is, and you boys can tell me if I'm wrong here. I can't remember the last time that this fight. So this fight was meant to happen in Madison Square Garden card last year. Fell off quite late on because John had his bicep injury, didn't he? That's the injury he was injured with last year. It's 12 months later. I cannot. Dana White has actually kept this fight marinating for 12 months to allow it to happen. It's just not a UFC and Dana thing to do either. It's just, why have they kept Jon Jones and Stipe marinating for this long? It's not like it was a fight anyone was crying out for anyway. It's not like Stipe's the #1 young up-and-coming contender. He's coming off of a 3-year layoff. It's just very strange that they've allowed this to go on for another year, regardless of the fact it's a Brit that's got the interim title. That isn't what I'm going on about here. They've allowed a fight with an already inactive fighter to brew for another year. It's just, I don't know. It's a weird one. It's not a very UFC thing. They're normally very, oh, you can't fight, right? We're going to do this, and then when you're fit, you can come back in and.
They've hung on to it, haven't they?
Yeah. Dana's clung on to it for dear life.
That's for me why it's the fight to make. Just stick with it. Get it out the way, man, because there'd have always been the what if.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Look,
so
it's here and it's happening. Who wins it then, boys?
Jon Jones.
How?
Stoppage. I want to say 2, but I think 3.
I've got exactly the same prediction. I think Jon Jones submits Stipe in the 3rd.
I feel that, yeah.
John's submission 2 or 3 as well. Yes, it sounds like we've all sung off the same hymn sheet beforehand, but that's just, you can't go 3 years inactive to come back into.
I'm gutted because as much as I've bigged it up, this fight, if this fight had happened 3 or 4 years ago, what a fight this would have been 5 years
ago. Phenomenal.
Jones is the Jon Jones, like 205. Stipe is the, what were it, 240, 245? That. So they weren't that. It's like the Jones Pereira fight. It's the similar type of fight now, that, isn't it? Because Jones is what, 250, 240 odd?
Yeah.
He's not 265, is he? If he is, it's because his belly's hanging over his shorts, and he'll do it just to be big. But I don't believe. I think John should come in at 230, 240 max. But yeah, what it's like. I'm not going to say Pacquiao Mayweather, but I mean as. Not that they're like Pacquiao Mayweather. What I mean is the fight came too late. So I want as excited for it when it comes. You know what I mean?
It's definitely got that.
To see it, but I want as, you know what I mean? Like when Calzaghe fought Roy Jones.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. You know, fights get made, but they're too late. It's lost that little shine for me. But I'll still be glued to the TV in anticipation because there is still that chance that Stipe could cause an upset and you know
would throw a real spanner in the works, wouldn't it? It would throw a massive spanner in the works.
Yeah, it could. Same with like DC when DC fought Stipe. Do you know what I mean? It could happen that. Where one of them gets it really easy, or the other one gets it really easy, and there's some random. Because Jon Jones, I mean, it's going to come at some point, isn't it? He's going to get beat, surely, and get knocked out. You'd like, the law of averages would say it's happened to them all. GSP, Anderson Silva, all the greats.
They've all hit a point, haven't they?
Johnson, Mighty Mouse. Mighty Mouse didn't get stopped until he got to one like that. But, and Jon Jones has never even been really
touched.
Dominic Reyes caused him. He won that fight for me, but made it look hard and look.
The Reyes performance was a strange one, definitely.
Yeah, and the first Gustafsson fight was an absolute.
Gustafsson put it on in that night.
Gustafsson was on it. I don't think that was. And Jones had been, sniffing.
Gustafsson was a problem back in the day as well.
At that point, do you know what I'm saying? Jones wasn't training them days, but that's when he was a wild man, and we saw some of his best performances when he lived that life. Now it's God first, and he's out selling cookies and during the day, and
Boy Scout.
I don't like that, man. Puts that soft voice on. Just be the bad man that you are, because that's the best. That's when we see the best. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No.
I'm hoping he beats Stipe fairly easily. Lights a joint in the thing. Says, I'm going to go get some hookers tonight. I'll see you in 6 months, and then calls out either Tom or... Because Alex Chamar will be there as well, probably, won't he now?
Look, I'd imagine Pereira will be there. They might even do a face-off. Yeah, that would annoy Tom if they do a Pereira-Jones face-off in the octagon afterwards.
But he's travelled there himself, Tom, hasn't he? I don't believe
Tom...
He hasn't flown out being UFC.
Well, I heard he was the backup fighter. I've not heard anything further on it.
It's never been mentioned since, has it?
I don't know.
Jones ain't fighting Aspinall if Stipe misses weight. No, we don't miss weight. But
from the interaction from them today, I'd be very. I mean, I know UFC fighters can get themselves into the events how they like, but it did look like Tom was there in some kind of UFC capacity, if that makes sense. That clip sound today that when he was walking through. He had his UFC gold T-shirt on that he's got to be in the interim champ and stuff. He looked like he was there in some sort of UFC capacity. So yeah, it's just a mess, and it's a shame that we've got an interim champion. It's a bigger shame that it's a Brit as well. We haven't got as many British UFC champions. It's a shame it's a Brit, and it's a shame it's this situation because we want to see Tom Aspinall fight regardless. The fact he's a Brit and the fact we all love him because of that, from the three of us, just makes us want him to get those opportunities even more. His time will come. He just may have to bide his time a bit more, but he's losing his patience, isn't he? Tom's not exact. Tom's told Dana where he stands with it all, so be interesting to see how Dana keeps everyone happy in this situation.
You know what? I think Dana, right, secretly is potentially not secretly. I think Dana might use this as a way to not chastise Tom, but sort of put him back in his... Because I think Tom could... I'm not saying he is, but could go that... And I know he's the interim champ and whatnot, but he's fairly new, isn't he? Still. And he's sort of telling the UFC what he's doing and what he's not doing. And Jones is the champ, really, isn't he? Tom's the interim champ. Tom, Jones couldn't defend because he had a serious injury. So they might slap him with a fishing face on Saturday night and do a face-off with Poatan. Ultimately, Dana really is just in a job. He don't really give a shit, does he? Let's be honest.
Dana's going to make the biggest fight for the most money.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And Poatan's fight's a bigger fight than the Aspinall fight. I don't care what anyone says.
I believe Jon Jones would fight Aspinall, but I believe that he'd have to take a ridiculous offer from the UFC, I think.
Jones will fight anyone.
Yeah,
but
of course.
He's at a stage in his career where he don't have to take a risk if he don't want to, if he don't have to. And he's just being clever.
And that's what it comes down to, mate. He sees Pereira as a
Aspinall's
much easier fight for him than Tom.
It's an easier 100%. Fight for more money.
Yeah.
Bigger fight 100%. For less risk.
You can sell it on Poatan being a 3-weight world champion, the first ever or not.
Yeah, but he's got absolutely... Jon Jones will beat the living shit out of Poatan. He'll stop him quicker than he did Cyril Gane. He's got absolutely... He ain't catching Jon Jones like he did... what's his face? Jamal
Hill.
My hell.
Absolutely not. He moves like he's in treacle.
It's gonna be it's gonna be interesting anyway.
Jon Jones will dump him on his head and beat the brakes off him on floor till he's unconscious. Easy work for Jon, I believe that. I'm not saying Poatan's not good, but he's not that good. He's not good enough to beat Jon Jones. He's not going to have a kickboxing match with him, is he? Jones is stupid. They'll just grab him.
Yeah, and that's where his logic comes from of saying, I'm not going to fight Tom, I'm going to fight Pereira, because he knows he can deal with Pereira. Tom is a puzzle and a picture and a young, hungry fighter that he doesn't want to deal with at this stage of his career. Yeah, he doesn't want to deal with it.
It's a tough matchup for anybody.
He's not going to ragdoll Tom, is it? He'd have to
Tom's a lump as well. He's a big
black belt. Tom could do it. Tom's a big, strong dude. Do you know what I mean? He's better than DC on ground. DC can get you down. He's a wrestler. Do you know what I mean? And Jones dealt with that, didn't he? Nullified that. But jiu-jitsu's different. Tom could sweep him, and that's Jones's game, isn't it? Sweeping people and tripping them, and you can't do that to Tom Aspinall. So it's obvious he's going to take the Poatan fight. It's not. It's not. Well, it feeds into his ducking him. Damn fucking right. Jon Jones won't admit that. Jon Jones will fight him, but not if he don't have to.
Yeah, look, Jon Jones is going to do what Jon Jones is going to do. That's the soundbite, I think. But yeah, we'll leave it there, boys. We've got Charles Oliveira and Michael Chandler coming very shortly. Jon Jones Stipe Miocic, UFC heavyweight gold on the line, MSG this Saturday night. Jay, Liam, thanks as always, boys. It's a clean sweep for Jon Jones over here.
Easy work.